tough evening? You got a sense of slight frustration that the moments you did sort of create, you weren't clinical enough to take them tonight?
Yeah, I think that's a good assessment. I think we weren't at our best tonight. The intensity, quality of our normal game, I thought was missing. But in saying that, we still had our moments, and Joelinton's header is probably the key moment in the game from our perspective.
Where do you think it leaves your sort of campaign now? You're probably going to have to realistically, we've just been talking about it as you come in, you're probably realistically going to have to go to Paris now and take something from that match.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to tell at this stage, but I think we've got to try and win our last two games.
We all love Joelinton. We know how important he's been for you, but his finishing has always been perhaps the little chink in his armour.
Well, I thought it was a really good move, and yeah, I think he would back himself to score that, if that came in again. But that's football. That's one of the things that happens, and we back him. I think since his return from injury, he's been outstanding for us.
Damien Spellman.
Eddie, you obviously had difficult decisions to make tonight. Your squad was threadbare, particularly when you look at the bench. How difficult was it, the situation with Lewis Hall after the early booking?
Yeah, I think that contributed to my decision to take him off, because we couldn't risk going down to 10 men. I thought he performed okay in the first half. We tried to give ourselves two substitutes today to use when we needed them. Callum was feeling tightness in his hamstring, so that forced our hand as well with the other. So you don't need me to say that we're really stretched at the moment.
And just a word on Tino Livramento, played in a couple of roles for you today and was one of your better players. Yeah,
played really well again. Played really well on the right side, played really well on the left side. So that's great to see. His versatility and his athleticism, I thought, was one of the standouts for us.
Scott Wilson.
Just kind of further to Damien's first question, Eddie, kind of on the team selection and everything. I mean, are we at the stage now where really you kind of having to make decisions? I'm not saying you don't necessarily want to make, but they're just being forced on you. That maybe the team that you would like to keep putting out week after week after week, you just can't.
Well, I think we've lost the ability to make certain decisions. So yeah, you're right. In a sense, I'm being forced to make certain decisions and pick certain teams. Looking at Anthony Gordon, who played 90 minutes against Arsenal, was absolutely gave everything physically in that game. I think the turnaround for him was too quick to start the match, so we wanted to use him as an impact player today. But you'd like, in a different set of circumstances, to play maybe a different kind of winger in that moment. But I'm not going to sit here and make excuses. That's what we have.
Okay, Keith Downey.
Eddie, despite defeat, what do you think or hope the players have taken from experiences like this tonight and 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I think, from our side, we weren't far away tonight, and I think that's the thing to take, because I think us at our very best, even with the number of players we have out, I think it's good enough. So we have to take collective responsibility for that. The players gave so much on Sunday, so it's not a question of me sitting here and questioning what they've given. I think they've given what they could give. But I think maybe the game just came too quickly for us. The turnaround was, after what they've given in recent weeks, maybe just a day too early.
Craig Howe.
Eddie, Dortmund are the only team to beat you in the last 12 matches. This has sort of come parallel to a really good run in the Premier League. Is there a reason why Premier League Newcastle haven't really produced that in the Champions League, apart from the PSG match, of course?
It's a difficult one to answer, Craig. I'm not 100% sure myself, because I think if our best version of ourselves turned up today, I think the result would have been different. I felt the same in the first game. But that's not to take anything away from Dortmund, who have played us very well in the two games. You have to give them a lot of credit. Their record here is very good. I think they've got a really good manager, a good set of players. So today's task was huge for us, and ultimately we weren't good enough.
Is Callum now part of that injured list? Is he a doubt for the weekend, do you think? How's he looking?
Too early to say.
Doubtful for the weekend, or?
Too early to say.
Okay, Chris Woff and then Dominic Skur. Chris.
Hi Eddie. Kieran Trippier seemed to be pointing to his thigh as well. Has he got an injury issue at the moment, or is he all right?
No, I think he's okay. I think he had a dead leg from the Arsenal game, and they can be sore for a few days, but not a muscle problem.
You kept changing him and Tino Livramento around. Was that tactical? Was that to try and find something else in the game? Because it was said Tino seemed to be the best player on the pitch probably for you.
Yeah, I think we didn't keep changing them around. I think they changed. So we started the second half with Kieran on the left and then Tino on the right, and then we swapped them over. But I thought Tino did well in both positions, and I think I've said before, Kieran's such an important player for us. His range of passing on that right foot is such a valuable weapon that we're just looking for a solution on the day, really, to try and perform better.
Dominic and then Martin Hardy. Dominic?
Just how similar was this game to the Dortmund game at St James's Park last month?
Yeah, very similar, I think, from our viewpoint. I think a frustration on our performance, knowing that there's more in the tank for us to give. We're better than that. We can show a better version of that, of ourselves, than we did. So a frustration that I don't think Dortmund have seen the best Newcastle. And that always leaves, when you're in my shoes, a feeling of frustration. But we have to accept it. We've delivered it. We can only look to the future now.
Slightly more positive note, Louis Miley, youngest ever player for the club in Europe. Is that an opportunity you feel he's deserved?
Well, we haven't seen a lot of him recently because he's had glandular fever, but he's very recently returned to training, and I thought he did really well when he came on today. I think for a great example of his temperament, really, for how he's, in a very difficult moment, shown his maturity and calmness on the ball. So a great evening for him.
Martin, and then just behind you.
Eddie, how do you feel emotionally right now?
Disappointed. I always are when two things come together where you don't perform at your best and you lose. So those two things are a double whammy for me. So no, I'm calm and collected and gathering my thoughts, but I think with the season that we're having, we now have to very quickly refocus towards Bournemouth.
You've spoken already about Joe Linton's missed header. It's your free kick with 11 minutes left, and you're such a reliable player taking the free kick, and it doesn't beat the first man. Can you talk us through what happens then, and are those two moments what the Champions League is all about, and just how hard it is?
Yeah, I think with the free kick, there's no blame attached to Kieran. That can happen. We have to have a better shape after the free kick. So for whatever reason, I don't think we've been too cavalier with our start positions. I think it was maybe the reaction after the initial headers cleared. Our reaction isn't good enough. We're a little bit slow, and then we leave Tino with a 2v1.
Okay, just in behind. Press the button.
Just to go back to Tino and Kieran on both on the right in the first half, is that a combination that you've been wanting to look at, and that it's an option that you might look at in the future, because it's quite interesting having them both kind of playing on the same flank and developing that understanding. How do you see that progressing? Yeah,
I wouldn't have said at the start of the season that'd be something necessarily that I'd have looked to have played, but my hands have been forced to a degree. Tino has played in that role before. That's how he started at Chelsea. That was sort of his position before moving backwards to right back. But I thought he did okay in the first half. He probably performed better in his normal fullback role. But as I said pre-game, it was a case of trying to manage the minutes of everyone in the squad and trying to give us a fresh team.
Mark and then Aaron.
Do you think the players have still got belief that they can get through this group, given the way the last couple of results have gone? I
think we'll probably be a bit bruised from this moment, but I think very quickly in football you get a chance to feel very differently when a new day comes, and we've got two massive games to come. We'll try and give our all to get the results we need.
The two away games you haven't scored yet. Do you think there's any? Is that just missing those big moments, or do you think there's something about maybe the way the team are kind of not quite asserting themselves in those away games?
I think we've had chances in both games. Yeah, we haven't maybe been as clinical as we'd like to have been in those key moments, but I back the players to come through that.
Aaron?
Eddie, do you think the yellow wall maybe played a little part tonight? It seemed like the away fans were a little bit drowned out from the constant noise at the other end.
No, I didn't feel that way. I felt our supporters were brilliant for us tonight in a difficult game for them probably to express themselves fully on the back of our performance. Dortmund are very well supported. I think the stadium's a great arena to play in. We're disappointed we didn't do better in it.